A lot of Muslims think and believe that Imam Mehdi alayhi salatu wasalam will be from among innocents. But the question is why? Please explain how Sarkar Gohar Shahi embarked on his journey in search of truth. We can only relay to you what we know. In as much as we know, we will explain it. But do not think this is all, because we cannot encompass on Sarkar Gohar Shahi's early mindset and thinking and Sarkar's emotions and Sarkar's quest and how strong that quest had been. So we will only say what we know. There is a general concept among people that most of these, all of these saints of God, awliya, fuqara, they are awliya and fuqara and at their best behavior and best character since their childhood. That's what people generally believe. But we have stories of the greatest of saints who were robbers. I would not like to say thieves. Who were robbers and would rob people, especially in the olden days when the trading caravan used to pass through woods. So they would be hiding behind some bushes and suddenly they would attack on them and deprive them, rob them of their commercial goods. And then suddenly, within a minute or two, they had a change of heart. Suddenly they changed. They develop inclination towards God. And one couldn't predict a boy who is very mischievous in his childhood, who keeps fingering in everybody's dash, would grow up to be a saint of God. I mean, like Rizwan Riaz, I spent very little time with him before Sarkar's disappearance. For the first time when I met him was when I went to America. So after the occultation, when people told him, Younus is a very spiritual man, Younus is this, Younus is that, he would find it very hard to believe it. But when he spent some time and he realized there is nothing wrong with this guy. Number two, he hasn't changed. He is still the same person that he saw in 1999. He still talks the same way he used to. He hasn't changed. Because what happens with fake people, they suddenly change in order to tell people, look, I have changed. But I didn't do anything of this because I didn't want to convince anybody. I knew who I am. But they have seen, a lot of people have met me before Sarkar's disappearance, and maybe who didn't spend much time with me, didn't know who I am and what kind of a character I am. So there is a classical difference between messenger of God and prophets of God. Now, according to the divine plan, according to the divine policies, a messenger of God to be and a prophet to be, they have to lead a pure lifestyle from the beginning. Obviously, they couldn't do so on their own. So they are, from the very childhood, taken care of, and God sends angels to train them. They don't know they're being trained, but they see somebody comes in front of them and tell them, don't do this and don't go there. Things like that. So it's about messengers, because messengers are supposed to be innocent. we say all the prophets and all the messengers of God are masumeen. They're innocent. What innocent means here in this religious connotation? Innocent means one who does not commit a sin, right? Almost the same meaning that we normally use in day-to-day language. But the religious connotation is somebody who doesn't sin. When you don't sin, when you never sin, you're innocent. So all the messengers of God and all the prophets are considered innocents because they do not sin. They never sin. In English language, they do not sin means they never sin. But I have to use never because your English is not good. But in English, if you say they do not do it, it's a habit. It's a present indefinite. So it means he doesn't do it. What does it mean? He doesn't do it means he never does it. So they are considered to be innocent, meaning they do not ever sin. In addition to messengers of God and prophets of God, there are another 14 individuals from the household of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. They are also considered as innocent because they do not sin. Now, for except the messengers of God and prophets of God, Mursaleen and Anbiya, all other human beings are likely to sin. Because when you sin, you do not become a kafir, you become a sinner. And when you stop sinning, you become pious. Simple as that. What is piety? Piety is to have ability to refrain one's self from committance of sin. So if you say, oh, that prophet has done this blunder. No, he's innocent. Their power of Latifa Nafs is controlled and guarded by angels. Even if they are intending to do something silly, the angels and mu'akkilat storm the guy and tell him, you're a prophet, you cannot do it. Now let's talk about fuqara, awliya, salihin. Awliya, salihin, fuqara, ushaq. They are not considered as innocent, religiously talking. They may sin. Do you understand? Because there is no divine law binding upon them as they cannot sin. They may sin. The lovers of God, ushaq ilahi, and the saints of God, the spiritualists, salihin, meaning those who are doer of good deeds, all these categories of God's friends are likely to sin. Likely to sin means they may sin, but not necessarily, they don't have to. Some of them may be so strong and powerful in their character, even when they're not connected with God, they don't like to sin. I mean, to sin is to make a mistake. It's not luxury. To sin is to make a mistake. Now let's talk about the messengers of God and prophets of God. Are they superior in love to the saints? Because the saints are likely to sin, whereas the messengers of God and prophets of God, they don't sin. No, they may not be superior to the saints. Why? Because they are guarded by the angels. It is not their own understanding or power that helps them refrain from committance of sin. It's a divine facility available for the messengers of God and prophets of God, that they are always guided and instructed by the angels. This is how they remain to be innocent. Okay? But this facility is not been given to those who are saints to be, lovers of God to be. Is this clear? So we understand only messengers of God and prophets of God enjoy or maybe suffer, that they are not allowed to sin. Any other non-messenger dignitary, non-prophet dignitary is likely to sin, and yet they may later on become a saint of God. However, during the process of becoming a saint of God, they go through lengthy process of austerity and process of cleansing of the character and mortification of the lower self, purification of the lower self, enlightenment and awakening of the spiritual heart, awakening of the soul, when their lower self has been completely cleansed of all negativity and all negative evil traits, then they lose inclination to sinning. This is how they become sin-free, baze guna. This is how they become sin-free. When you become sin-free, you're a pious man. Now, unfortunately, in our societies today, anybody who doesn't do anything bad in front of people, but behind their back, in their hideouts, whatever they do, they still are considered to be pious people, because they don't do hanky-panky in front of the people. They always do bad things in closed doors. So that is not piety. Piety, you are pious when you become sin-free. You become sin-free when the source in you that compels you to sin becomes purified, which is your nafs. So these messengers of God and the prophets of God, they are guided by the angels, and the angels do not allow them to do any hanky-panky. So they are innocent. A lot of Muslims think and believe that Imam Mehdi alayhi salatu wasalam will be from among innocents. But the question is why? Imam Mehdi alayhi salatu wasalam is neither a prophet or a messenger, nor is a saint. But Imam Mehdi alayhi salam is not a Rasul, and he is not Nabi. Why? I don't know why, but we know Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam is the last of all prophets. The finality of prophethood has taken place, and the prophet said, La nabiyya ba'di, after me there will come no prophet, no messenger. Therefore, there is no possibility of anyone to be a prophet of God or a saint of God. Now, Imam Mehdi alayhi salatu wasalam is not a saint, but he is the seal of sainthood. What do you understand by seal of sainthood? Seal of sainthood exactly mean in the same way as Khatimun Nabiyyin, and Imam Mehdi is Khatimul Awliya. What is it? The seal of sainthood, finality of sainthood. There is no more saints left. Now, having understood this, let me go forward. Now, let's talk about Sarkar Gohar Shahi's arrival in this world. We have been very lucky in a way that we have met Sarkar's mother. I have met Sarkar's mother and spoken to Her Highness for a number of times. But this meeting did not have too much of conversation. Only was limited to hello and hi. But there are people like Hafiz Nadeem who has spent some considerable time, and they had a conversation, lengthy conversation with Sarkar's Holy Mother, and they asked Sarkar's Holy Mother about Sarkar's birth. So Sarkar's mother explained to Nadeem and others how all this happened. Most of us are fathers and mothers. We have kids, we have children, right? So we know what happens in the labor room. Have you ever seen or heard about a woman who has delivered a baby but she doesn't know? But do you think, is it possible practically? I'm not a woman, I don't know how hard or how difficult it is. We ask women, is it possible that you continue to sleep, and while you're sleeping, your baby is delivered, and you only wake up when the baby cries a lot? As of the news. So, while submitting Sarkar's mother her recollections about Sarkar's arrival, Sarkar's mother said that I was fast asleep. I never had any contractions. I never had any labor pain. Nothing. I was sleeping. And I woke up due to a baby crying. So when I woke up, I saw little baby Sarkar was lying next to me. Now, I ask you a question. Two scenarios. Number one, do you think the delivery of the baby was so pain-free, so smooth without a midwife, that the baby by himself came out and the clothes the mother was wearing was still on, and the baby came out, and sat on the bed and then decided to lie down? Do you think this is possible? So, do you think the baby was born pain-free without a midwife? No. There are cases when a baby was born without seeking help from a midwife, but even though the woman who was delivering the baby was screaming on top of her voice. This is not possible, that the mother is not aware of any pain. And the mother, she was sleeping in those clothes, she was still sleeping in those clothes. Just in case the mother was sleeping and the baby decided to come out by himself. So would be stuck in the pajamas. Right or wrong? Now I'm giving you physical insight, practical insight. So when Sarkar's mother heard noise of a crying baby, she woke up. And she felt no pain, nothing. Do you think the baby was born of the mother? What do you think? Or the baby was brought by somebody else and left on the bed? This looks more real, close to reality, isn't it?
ALRA TV, the place to connect with God.